I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Ms. Ojashita Srivastava, our General Counsel for Securitas, Africa, Middle East and Asia Division, Major General P.K. Sharma, Professor and Director, Amity Law School and Dean Faculty of Law, and fellow faculty members present here today. Erika Twani, co-founder and CEO of Learning One-to-One Foundation, in her book, Becoming Einstein Teacher, Awakening the Genius in Your Student, writes that we are at the inflection point of history where we can shift the use of AI in the education in the right direction. AI has entered the higher education realm with a concomitant proliferation of a new AI tools available and is expected to grow at a compound annual rate of over 40% between 2021 and 2027. According to a report titled The Impact of AI on Learning, Teaching and Education, Policies for the Future by the Joint Research Center, the European Commission Science and Knowledge Service, the wide availability of cheap processing power and vast amount of data in recent years have enabled impressive breakthroughs in machine learning and created extraordinary commercial and research interest in artificial neural network. That is computational model based on the structure and functioning of biological neural network. Neural AI and machine learning methods associated with it are now used for real-time language processing and translation, image analysis, driverless cars and autonomous vehicles, automated customer services, fraud detection, process control, synthetic art, service robots, and many other applications. Educational systems have been adapting to the requirement of the industry, and AI could make some functions of education obsolete and emphasize others. It may also enable new days of teaching and learning. AI has gradually become accepted by colleges and universities as an effective tool for automating several tasks effectively and efficiently. When harnessed to bolster students' outcome, AI gives higher education institutions the ability to anticipate enrollment trends, optimize recruitment efforts, and elevate academic performance. AI is emerging as one of the most powerful agents of change in higher education, presenting the sector with unprecedented academic, ethical, and legal challenges. The topic for today's session is emergence of artificial intelligence in all spheres, a time to revisit higher education. Ms. Ojashita Srivastava is an alumna of V.M. Salbokar College of Law, Goa, an LLM in Commercial and Corporate Law from Queen Mary, University of London. She is currently the General Counsel for Securitas Africa, Middle East and Asia Division, and founder of Project Abhimanyu. Prior to this, she worked at a multinational French pharma company in Mumbai and later practiced at the Supreme Court, Delhi High Court, and 3 district courts in Delhi. As the General Counsel, she overlooks legal management, contracts, compliance, corporate governance, and value of ethics aspect for the region, Africa, Middle East, Asia, and Asia Pacific. She's motivating idea behind Project Abhimanyu is to guide first-generation law students, enabling them to make a smooth transition from being a law student to becoming a lawyer. Over the past few years, she has been guiding students studying in various colleges in Delhi, Noida, Lucknow, Pune, Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, Patna, Mumbai, and Goa. May I now request Ojashita Srivastava to address the gathering. Participants are advised to ask the question using the chat box. May I please, ma'am?
Thank you so much, Atul sir. If it's all right, can you confirm if you can hear me all right?
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
And can you see the presentation that I'm
showing? Yes.
Yes, perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. First of all, to Major General Sharma for inviting me. Thank you so much, sir, for having me here. And thank you, Monica ma'am, as well. You've been really helping in facilitating this. This is my second interaction with Amity Gurgaon. The first interaction was on a similar topic with the students. So I'm very happy to come back to share my thoughts on the same topic with the teachers at your institute. And I really hope that this session helps you get some insight and you can also resonate with some of the ideas that I have on this topic. Before we start, I would really like to share that The best use of our time this next 1.5 hours would be that we make it as interactive as possible. You are teachers, you should be used to teaching and sharing your thoughts and ideas. And I would really like if you can make this interactive. I understand that we are all going to stay on mute and not have videos on during the session. Please feel free to use the chat. And at the end, let us try to unmute ourselves and maybe share our videos as well, so we can have a more honest discussion on what we feel this topic is going to affect, how artificial intelligence is going to affect the legal sector, the teaching sector, higher education sector. With that, let me start. Thank you so much, Dr. Atul, for already giving a brief background about me. So maybe we can skip on this slide. There is not much to share. You've already shared everything. As part of my current role, I head the legal function across this region, and I'm also part of the divisional leadership team. This company in itself is basically into providing security services, 8 types of different security services. It is a Swedish multinational. We operate across 52 countries in this region, in this division. We have about 16 countries. In the past, I have worked with the competitor G4S in a similar regional role, but this is my first time at Securitas, looking after the leadership part as well and not just legal. Besides this, I run the NGO Project Abhimanyu, which is essentially to cater the needs for first-generation lawyers like myself, as well as students, law students who are trying to get into the profession, just like the character Abhimanyu from Mahabharata. We would like them to know how to navigate the chakravyuh of the legal sector, of the legal profession, and know how to make informed decisions when deciding what they want to do for the rest of their careers. So that is a brief background about me. Let us start and look at what is our agenda for today. So in this next 1 hour or so, we will try to look at what is artificial intelligence, what are the applications of AI in the legal sector, the dangers of AI in the legal sector, to give you a flavor of what we see in the profession. Then let us have a little open discussion on 2 questions and look at how artificial intelligence is going to affect the higher education sector, and whether we are really there yet where we can have a comprehensive discussion on artificial intelligence in higher education, or is this something that we just need to keep in mind and start preparing for as and when it comes in the future. With that, what is artificial intelligence? Now, we've been talking a lot about AI. Everybody is talking about ChatGPT. It's very smart, it's very intelligent, it can do everything that a human being can do. We are all going to basically go out of job because of this new artificial intelligence. But is it really there yet? Is it really something that can and will affect our jobs? Is this going to make human beings irrelevant, is the question. And do we need to worry about this right now, or is this a question that our grandchildren will worry about, is also something we would try to explore during the session today. Now, I hope all of you have your smartphones, because before we start, I want to gauge what is the thought process or what is the outlook of this group today. And I have here 2 questions. Do you expect AI to take over education sector, and do you believe AI would steal jobs? You can see a QR code here. Can I request you to quickly scan this QR code on the screen? It'll take you to Mentimeter, and you will be able to answer yes or no on both these questions. Let us take 1 minute, and I would request all of you to quickly scan this. If you have any challenges in trying to find this, or you're not able to get the link, feel free to put it in the chat and I can try and help you. But I see some people have already started answering questions. So we've had 2 people who say no. to AI taking over the education sector. Can we have all of you please answer this question? And I know we are definitely with 26 participants. Can I request all of you to please answer this question? If you have any challenge trying to find it, please feel free to put it in the chat. And I will make sure that you get a link. Only 3 people have answered. I mean, this session is not going to be very useful if we don't have more people participating. And this is something that all of us are going to be affected by.
Could I request you to put the QR code once more? Because I guess maybe some people might have, because they're answering in the chat. If you see, there are some people are putting their answers in the chat.
Sorry about that. I've gone back to the QR code. I hope you can see it.
I hope now the QR code is visible to all the participants. So if you could scan with your phones. I guess some of them might have joined with their phones itself during the session. So maybe that is the challenge. And they're writing in the chat.
I see 2 answers in the chat. So if you can't get to that link, you can also answer in the chat. That's perfectly fine. But I would really like
I don't
to
know. I answered the first question through the QR code, but the second question, when I'm wanting to answer, the QR code is not getting scanned.
No, so when you scan the QR code and answer the first question and submit your
No,
answer,
it did not change. I refreshed, it did not change.
it will, oh, it did not change. No worries.
Okay, now let me see.
Yeah.
It is again coming to the first question. Do you expect AI to take over the education sector? So my reply was no. I have submitted now. Okay, submit. You have already voted on this question, right? Now then I should get to the next question.
No worries. I will send a link to the next question. Or we can put it in the chat. For those of you who are not able to answer it in the QR code, you can put it in the chat. So I've sent a link in the chat as well. Can't scan QR code with phone. I've sent a link in the chat as well. All right, I see 6 answers, which is good. And I see some answers coming for the other question as well now. Okay. Okay, since this is going quite slow, let me share what I have seen. I do have one person who says that you do expect AI to take over the education sector. That's good. That shows that there is some diversity in thought. And then we have the next question. Do you believe AI would steal jobs? We have 3 people who say yes. 1 person who says yes and 3 people who say no. Okay. Okay. I think we can continue on with our presentation. But please feel free to log in and give your answers, and I will come back to this response at the end of the presentation again. Yeah. So if it's all right, let's continue. I see some of you, most of you believe that AI will not take over the education sector and AI will not steal jobs. Let's continue on and see how many of you continue to feel so by the end of today's session. So starting off with, what are the applications of AI in the legal sector? Do any of you want to take a guess of what all AI is being used for in the legal sector currently? Okay, do you want to share some of your thoughts on the chat? What are the present uses of AI? Do you know whether artificial intelligence is being used in the legal sector or not? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but the slide is not moving. We can
No,
just
I
see
have not.
applications of AI in legal sector. Yeah, we can hear you.
I have not put it on the slide because I would really like to hear from the
Yeah. We can hear
participants
you. We can hear you.
on the chat. Can
Yeah.
you share what do you know are the current applications of artificial intelligence in the legal sector? Are you aware if legal sector is using artificial intelligence? If yes, can you share some examples in the chat? Anything at all? No, there are 26 people, but very quiet 25 people. Anyone here? Dr. Atul, maybe if I can request you, drafting and compliances, yes. Translation of judgments in different languages, yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you. There, so I know some people are on the call. Okay, yes, we have plenty of applications of artificial intelligence in the legal sector. Things like document automation. So contract review, contract drafting, due diligence. When we go in for mergers and acquisitions, if, for example, we are acquiring a company and the company has about 10,000 contracts that they have agreed to, reviewing those 10,000 contracts to understand our risks, our liabilities would take a lot of time, but with the help of technology, we are able to do that in a couple of days and a couple of hours a lot of times. So it helps to have artificial intelligence do due diligence, do contract review, do assessment, e-discovery. This is something that is very particular to the US legal system, where they have to share all kinds of evidence in the form of electronic discovery, as and when there is a litigation. And it really helps to have automation using artificial intelligence to do that. Contract management is being done by artificial intelligence. So for example, COVID happened and I want to know all my contracts that have a force majeure clause. With the help of artificial intelligence, I can do that literally in like 5 minutes, instead of having to go through 5,000 contracts that I have in my folders. Similarly, for legal research, there is extensive use of artificial intelligence, how we can use, find a particular contract, a particular authority on a particular topic just by searching for it, right? Then virtual legal assistants or bots. For example, working in-house, we have company policies. And there are people in the organization who are not aware of these policies. And they are like really lengthy policies. So they have a question, can we do this? Can we not do this? And they don't want to go through an entire policy. They don't want to spend the time of a lawyer. So we create a bot that basically eats in all the policies of the organization. And it can answer basic questions of the organization. Similarly, intellectual property management, where do I have what kind of trademark registered across the 52 countries, where there is any kind of a challenge to it. I can use artificial intelligence to do quick searches, to do management, to do, applications, and as well as, come back with answers on whether or not I am hit or I'm affected by it. Similarly, litigation prediction in a particular kind of facts of a case, how likely are we to win that case? so that a company can decide whether or not it is worth the money and the time to actually fight a case in court. So what has been the track record of such cases in such circumstances in the past, to use that for litigation prediction. Similarly, compliance and risk management, making sure that we are compliant with all the regulations in all the countries and all the jurisdictions that a company operates in. Artificial intelligence helps a lot to understand the latest legal developments in those areas. So that helps a lot. And then finally, electronic billing is something that helps a lot. So if I have a track of everything that I have worked on for a client, for the system to automatically generate electronics invoices and send them across to the client, helps saves a lot of admin work, makes sure that we are always on time and we never miss to bill a client for any work that we've done. Coming to these are the applications, but what are the benefits of it? So coming to the benefits of it, it definitely reduces the time that we take to do a work. It allows us to focus on actual legal work instead of having to spend time on admin tasks. It minimizes costs. So there would be an invoice admin, for example, somebody who would be assigned only for making invoices. We don't need that person anymore. So that would minimize the cost. It helps in the skill development. So lawyers have more time to actually concentrate on law and learn the latest developments. So that allows you more time. It improves the accuracy. You're less likely to make mistakes. Human error is reduced to a large extent. High quality work. So things that, you would require really specialized people. You can teach legal language to the system, and that system can now also come up with high quality work. And it doesn't have to be somebody with 20-30 years of experience or who is specialized in drafting to actually draft that high quality work. Remote working is possible thanks to artificial intelligence and all kinds of technology. And then also access to justice. So if we have, say, for example, an AI tool that can help draft applications, that can help draft basic requests or documentation for a court, anybody and everybody can now have access to justice. They don't have to depend on a lawyer to draft basic things for submitting to the court. And then there are examples of it like Kira, which does document automation and document review. Examples like Kara, like Coin is contract innovation, Space, which is used by the Supreme Court, and how well they can use artificial intelligence in the legal sector. So that's how, the artificial intelligence is already being used in the legal sector. In my personal everyday work, I use Kira, I use HiQ, I use a couple of other tools like Viva Goals, Viva Sales, that use artificial intelligence to enhance the entire process, to make it easier for us, to save time for us. And it definitely, has increased the amount of work that we can do in our work. So right now, basically at Division, we are 2 lawyers providing legal support to 9 countries, only possible because of the help of artificial intelligence. So there's definitely a huge upside to it. And I see more people have joined in, 27 people on the call now. That's good to know. Do you feel that there are some dangers possible in the use of artificial intelligence, some things that we need to be wary of? On the screen, you see right now a lot of applications and benefits, but can any of you guess what could be the dangers of using artificial intelligence in the legal sector? You can put your answers in the chat. Or if you have any questions on what's on the screen, please feel free to ask them as well. Anyone? Taking over human intelligence, okay. What else could be a danger of depending on artificial intelligence or using artificial intelligence in the legal sector? Bias in the data on which AI model is trained can give flawed results. Absolutely, 100% correct. So there are definitely a lot of thing that one needs to be wary of when we are looking at using artificial intelligence, because it is not a human being. Just like there are flaws in using human beings, there's also flaws in using artificial intelligence. Some of them, in terms of the legal and ethical challenges, in addition to what you have said in the chat, could be what is the legal personality of artificial intelligence is not defined. So somebody drafted, you instruct an artificial intelligence tool to draft something. That particular tool has no responsibility, no liability, does not really have a standing in the court. You cannot say that I made this mistake because this artificial intelligence tool guided me to do so. So there is no personality, there is no liability and no obligation on it. Similarly, privacy and protection of personal data. So that is something that, again, is questionable. How do you decide, or how do you make sure that your privacy is maintained and your personal data is not circulated when it has been fed into an open source artificial intelligence tool? Anything and everything that you feed into ChatGPT is being used by ChatGPT to learn for the future. That's how machine learning works. So there is no concept of privacy as such when it comes to using artificial intelligence. Similarly, regulatory compliance. No, artificial intelligence tool guarantees that they are compliant with the local laws. What they would always put a disclaimer on is that this is something that is to assist you. It is the responsibility of the human that is using the artificial intelligence to make sure that we have complied with the regulations and complied with the laws. Similarly, ethics of AI in legal decision making. This is exactly what Mr. Ansari has written here in the chat. There is bias in the data. So we don't know what data has been used to train this artificial intelligence. So any decision making that has been done by this AI tool, you cannot be sure that it is not biased, right? And we have seen examples of this, that ChatGPT, for example, would hesitate in making jokes on a certain community, but it would not hesitate in making jokes on some other community, because the basis or the bias that was fed in by the people who trained the artificial intelligence would continue on, and that is how that bias would perpetuate when you use this for decision making. Again, it says that you need to have human oversight to ensure fairness and justice. Research quality may decline with the use of AI. That I agree with. Though, what do you mean by research quality may decline, ma'am?
Since I have the privilege of, unmuting myself, you see, the effort, one that goes into, and the development of the idea, AI will only work in the parameters that are being provided to it by a human intelligence.
Correct.
Yes, there is going to be those, networks, the neural networks, and the learning of it, and the collation of data. But the fact that, the idea that comes to a person, which could be more innovative, because AI will be working from pre-existing ideas.
Yep.
Right. And the quality, when I say, when it's going to be declining,
Yep.
the copy paste will become very easy. So the innovation might get stifled. There might be just a similarity of thought process that is happening.
100%.
That's what I mean by that.
100%. Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. There is going to be a repetition of what has already been fed in the system. It is intelligent, but it is not innovative. So you're absolutely right. And we have that in the next section where we talk about other challenges, which are not legal and ethical challenges. So you can see it here, similar sounding content is going to be repeated, because it is essentially just, reproducing that has been fed into the system already in the past. So you're absolutely right. And of course, the concept of consent does not exist in the artificial intelligence tools, right? So what are the other challenges? Things like there's no guarantee of accuracy. So all of them disclaim that this is the best possible thing. for making sure that there is accuracy in the work product of an artificial intelligence tool, they always say that you need human oversight. So all the tools that we use, for example, in my legal department, things like Kira and things like Viva Sales, all of them require human oversight. I have run tests, for example, on Kira before I adopted it. To give you an example, we have pretty lengthy construction contracts in developed markets like Singapore or Australia, contracts that are anywhere between 700 to 1,000 pages long, which would otherwise take a lawyer 5 days, almost a whole week to review. We ran it through the system and it reviewed that contract in 26 minutes, a 776 pages contract in 26 minutes with 95% accuracy. But that 5% accuracy is missing, and that missing 5% accuracy is why you need a human oversight over all kinds of use of artificial intelligence. Similar sounding content, like Monica Mann said, then not completely accepted by legal professionals. There is no endorsement of artificial intelligence right now across the board by the legal professionals. So there are a lot of it, still a huge amount of pushback to the use of artificial intelligence in the legal sector by the people who basically form the legal profession. There's also a risk of over dependence. So we become so used to it that we stop innovating, we stop doing our own drafting, we stop doing anything new, basically. So it's just a repeat of what has already been done in the past. Lack of personalization. So it's going to throw up something that's very generic. And then, of course, it's inorganic and robotic content. So it's going to lack the human touch. It's going to lack anything emotional in the content. Yeah. Now, we would like to have some open discussion, and I'm sorry I'm forcing you all to participate again and again, but that's how, this topic is going to make sense and be relevant to you. We are not talking about a law a letter of the law or some act of the parliament that has been passed. This is something very dynamic, so it calls for discussion. So the first question is, do you anticipate that AI is being used in the education sector? Yes or no, you can put your answers in the chat. And how do you prepare your students to deal with AI? This is something we really need to understand. We really need to be able to gather before we move on to the next topics, right? We see yeses that yes, we do anticipate the use of artificial intelligence in the education sector. But when we say yes, we anticipate the use of artificial intelligence in the education sector, are we talking about the future or are we talking about the present? Is it already here, or are you expecting that sometime in future, artificial intelligence is going to come into the legal sector? Yes. Okay, it is already here. Anybody else wants to take any guesses? Feel free to put it in the chat. I don't think I see any other responses, but engage with experts and learn to teach. Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's carry on. I don't see a lot of responses, but let's carry on. So how exactly is the higher education sector affected by artificial intelligence? Right? So AI is revolutionizing the way we learn and teach. It has the potential to personalize education and make it a more efficient learning environment, right? What are the different applications that we have of artificial intelligence in the higher education sector? Asha Meena says yes, thank you so much. So what are the applications of it? Any guesses on what are the uses of AI in the higher education sector already? And the clues, I've given you 4 clues. So these are basically for admin work, for teaching, learning processes, and for research as well. But have any of you been using artificial intelligence? Have any of you actually had the experience of any tool in artificial intelligence for the teaching learning process? If yes, can you share some examples or something in the chat?
Uh, if I don't know if it's a correct thought process, but yes, when we are doing legal research engines, the search engines that we use. So I think in the field of law, we are using AI. And in fact, I think, most of us do it without knowing that we are doing it, especially when we go into research. My I think would be confined to research.
Yep, absolutely. I think research is definitely one place where all of us can use. We can just run simple searches on ChatGPT. Give me an example of this, give me an example of that, instead of having to do a Google search and get 20 results and then go to each of those 20 links. You can just go to ChatGPT and ask them, give me 20 examples of this, and it'll give it to you up front. So definitely it helps a lot in the research part. Then let us look at what are the examples. So it allows a more personalized learning experience. What do teachers face a lot? And I'm saying this as a daughter of a teacher myself. One teacher teaching 50 plus students at the same time, right? That's how most law colleges, we have anything between 50 plus students in a single class, right? So how can one teacher make sure that there is more personalized training or teaching for every student? That is possible through artificial intelligence. How? If you take the assignments from all the students, insert them on an artificial intelligence tool that basically reviews and gives you an understanding of what is the learning objective, what is the learning style, where has a particular student reached, and allows you to have a more personalized learning experience. It gives you intelligent tutoring systems. So, you can use artificial intelligence in making sure that if 60% of your class does not understand the basic of contracts, how would you present your content would be very different from when 80% of your class understands contract law. Similarly, automation of grading and feedback. This can be done with the help of artificial intelligence. In the next slide, I will even share with you some examples or some tools that you can use for all of these processes, including grading of assignments, smart content creation. You can go for directly online, go to the tool, ask it to create a smart content for you. Predictive analytics, so it can allow you to predict what is going to be the way in which certain topics or certain teaching is going to be absorbed by the students. Enhanced administrative tasks, if you look at this infographic here, so this is more for schools teachers, but it's still quite relevant to understand that out of the 50 hours that a teacher spends in a week, 49% of the time is only spent with interacting with the students. 51% of the time is actually spent on the admin tasks. A lot of that admin work can actually go down with the use of artificial intelligence, because you can spend more time with your students and on concentrating on teaching. Then things like targeting students for admissions. Now, this is a little futuristic thinking for higher education, but how can we analyze data coming from school students to target students who are more likely to come in for, say, a law course, or target students from our graduate, course on who is more fit and more likely to go in for a particular master's course. Those students whose performance has been adjudged during these 5 years LLB, which of those students are best suited for our IPR course? Which of them are best suited for our commercial corporate law course? Things like that. So that can be one application. Student retention and help them graduate. So how to make sure that those students stick into our institution, how to make sure that all of them graduate in all the subjects. There are applications of artificial intelligence possible for this process as well. And then finally, adapting the curriculum to meet the market demands. So how do we use artificial intelligence to check what is it that most students are searching for? Are they all looking for courses on artificial intelligence? Then we should be running a course on artificial intelligence. Are they all looking for courses on higher judicial exams? Then we should be running some kind of a course that is suitable for such students, right? So how do we develop our curriculum to make it more suited for the market demands, right? So all of these are more futuristic uses of artificial intelligence in higher education.
So before we move on to the next one, if I may ask you, when we talk about, of course, you said these are futuristic, but when we're looking at, the automated grading system or creating, again, don't you think that would be limiting in terms of creativity of the student? Because the AI would be fed with a preset idea or preset answers or expected answers, and of course maybe some part that it could pick up once the system is more developed, but then it's sort of putting them in cages, that if this is the cage within which you have answered or you've written good, if not then bad. So would you think that this kind of grading system would become very stifling in terms of learning?
The only way you can use artificial intelligence as of today for grading is MCQs.
Yes.
You can't use it for, an open,
Descriptive answers.
absolutely not,
Right.
because it is not yet developed enough
Developed.
to be able to review that.
I'm talking about, the future development, because these are very futuristic. Even in the future, since, we talk about machine learning, we talk about all of that. But again, the creativity that I spoke of in the very beginning would be slightly compromised in this kind of system, specifically when we look at, higher education. Because when we are talking about the growth of the mind, or we are asking the students to, think beyond the boundaries and take a leap, then we cannot be dependent on a very preconceived data set or a fixed data set. We have to be able to adapt. So there somewhere I feel that, maybe the education industry is not going to actually be taken over at all.
100% agree with you, ma'am. Like where we are today, everything that you see, that you said is very true, very accurate, right? As of today, any kind of automation, any kind of machine learning is going to be based on what the system has already learned, right? So we're talking about machine learning because it is still in the learning phase, right? But the purpose of artificial intelligence, or the way artificial intelligence is supposed to be in the future, is that it's going to be able to think like a human being, right? So 5 years ago, we couldn't think about a machine doing contract review for us with 95%, 96% accuracy, but today it can. So 5 years from now, it probably will be able to. We got to be prepared for it. We got to be anticipating it so that as and when it happens, we are there. But as of today, 100%, it is not taking over. It has not yet taken over, and it is unlikely to take over in the next 1 or 2 years for sure. We're not there yet. Yeah. So in artificial intelligence in higher education, are we there yet? This is basically exactly what you just said, ma'am. Are we there yet? Are robotic teachers ready to take over classrooms? Questions like, are virtual classrooms going to replace physical classrooms? Is the need for human interaction in teaching over? Without waiting for an answer, I think the answer is a very resounding no, right? As of today, no. But that said, AI won't replace teachers, but a classroom revolution is definitely coming, right? So that's the reason why we need to be updated with what's happening. We need to be updated with what are the developments, and we need to prepare ourselves for as and when it comes. It's something similar to, when we had those discussions of computers coming into the office spaces in the 90s, and everybody saying, oh, it's going to take over human jobs and everything. It did take jobs, but the fear or not adopting computers did not stop computers from not coming in. Everybody uses phones, everybody uses computers today. So the fact that we don't use computers or we avoid phones does not stop that technology from coming. So the time of artificial intelligence is here, it's going to come anyway. The good thing, or the what we can be doing to make ourselves prepared, is we have the right attitude and start thinking about what is going to be the future, how is it going to impact me. So how do we in the teaching sector be prepared for the future? First thing is have the right attitude towards technology in general. There is not always the right adoption of technology. And this is not just for the teaching sector, this is for the legal sector as well, yeah? I see a lot of in-house general counsels, I see law firm partners who are hesitant to adopt technology in general. I'm not talking about artificial intelligence. There are still senior counsels who dictate everything. So Harish Salve is probably like an exception going into the court with a tab. But everybody who had adopted technology had a much smoother work life during the COVID, when everybody was forced to use technology because you had to have remote hearings and things like that. So having the right attitude towards technology is absolutely essential. Upskilling ourselves in order to allow us to use technology, how to make sure that, we know how things work. If you just keep saying no and, not adopt technology, it's definitely making you sure that you are not going to be very useful for the workforce in the future. So in order to stay relevant, it is important that we keep that we keep upskilling ourselves and we start adopting the use of AI. I'm very glad that Amity Gurgaon is having this discussion right now, when we are still in the very beginning, I would say, of use of artificial intelligence in education sector, because this is basically a trigger. This is for all of you to start using, to start exploring, to start looking at what all can I use artificial intelligence for in my everyday work, in my life as a teacher, right? That is one side of artificial intelligence. And like I said, I want to share some examples, some tools that you can use right now, right away. You don't have to wait for the future. At things like ChatGPT, you can start using right now. There are tools like Webic, which are for preparing presentations, things like GPT, if you want to create like a quick quiz for everybody, things like Gradescope to use to grade MCQs, Turnitin, which is a plagiarism checker, also using artificial intelligence, Copilot Education to generate lesson plans, as well as TeachMate, which is basically a comprehensive teaching assistant that allows you to use everything out there that a teacher needs to do, and how to automate it. So basically, this is a lot of templatization. This is a lot of saving of time in how you do use artificial intelligence as a teacher, right? But then this is only one side or one part of artificial intelligence. I see there's a question. Do you think AI would enable adapting to a student's learning process, working on their strengths? Yes, and that is what we're coming on to the next slide. So this is one side for us as teachers. When we are teaching, we are only not just looking at how it's going to help me. As a teacher, it is your responsibility to make sure that the students are future ready. That when you have both the use of yourself and the right attitude of the students, only then are you really adopting technology, right? So what can we do to make sure that our students are future ready, right? Let's go through the slide and then we will come to your question, Monica ma'am. Yeah. So first thing is have the positive attitude towards new technologies like artificial intelligence. Students need to realize that AI can be used to enhance human creative abilities, right? So they understand that they have to use technology. They have to continue using. I hope you can still see my screen.
No.
No,
It stopped sharing.
Yeah, the PPT is stopped.
no worries. I will just share it. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we were on how can we make sure that our students are ready for future ready for this. So first thing is that they need to have the right attitude towards technology. They need to know that artificial intelligence can be used to enhance our creative abilities. Secondly, they need to be talking or learning about what is design thinking and critical and creative thinking. So I think the video is gone again. Can you see my screen yet? Or not?
No, I think we
Again,
seem to be having some connectivity issue, probably. It's
Yeah.
dropped again.
Yep. Sorry about that. I'm going to share it again. Yep. Okay. I hope you can see it now.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Design thinking, and critical and creative thinking. These are essential aspects of being ready for the future. Unless you have the right sort of aptitude towards critical thinking, towards creative thinking, you are going to be in that mindset that artificial intelligence is going to take my job. Because as a lawyer, I was going to do only, the basic drafting, use a format that has been shared with me earlier, simply change the basic details of the client and then use the same template. But that's not the only thing that a lawyer does. So the students need to come out of that mindset. Things like data fluency and computational thinking, they need to be able to learn how to use data. It's not enough to just have facts, but how many ways can we use those facts as lawyers? How to have that computational thinking about how I'm going to use the same facts depending on what case I have. Those sort of things need to be developed as teachers. Empathy, understanding differences between humans and computers. This is something absolutely essential as a young lawyer. I see a lot of drafting happening by law students because of both Project Abhimanyu as well as the interns that come and work with me. They write very generic language. There is no human understanding. There is no personalization that is happening. And that is basically the kind of people that will be the first to lose their jobs, because it is henceforth written that, this is an application for this job is something that any AI tool can develop much better in much better language, right? The idea is not to write Shashi Tharoor kind of language. The idea is to have a more personalized language. And unless and until students understand that you need to have empathy, you need to have the understanding of this is being drafted by a human being and not by computer, you are always going to feel threatened by the artificial intelligence and technology. Things like understanding and developing algorithms. That said, I think we all need to understand how can we use this technology? How are algorithms or artificial intelligence really going to work for me? How is it going to help me become more efficient and do more work in lesser time? So unless we learn how to do that, it's going to be very difficult going forward. Discussing the positive and the negative impacts of artificial intelligence on society. This is absolutely critical for all students to start thinking right now. And this is the right time before, I don't think 5 years from now is a good timeline. By 5 years from now, we would be very late. So the time to start discussing uses and applications and negative impacts and positive impacts of AI is now. Those students who are in your classes should have an understanding of what is artificial intelligence, what is it doing, what are the tools that are being used, how can we as fresh graduates from law school use these tools, how can I from the day one when I join a law office say that this is the amount of work that I'm bringing to you, this is the amount of productivity as a student, as a new lawyer, I'm bringing to you. And therefore, this is the amount of salary that I command. So that sort of an understanding, use of technology is going to really help students. The good thing, the silver lining in the fact that the legal profession in general has not been very, forthcoming in adoption of artificial intelligence is that the new students that are coming out from law schools, if they have the right attitude, if they start using artificial intelligence for everything and anything, that's how they are going to continue to be relevant and also be future ready. So those are the thoughts that I wanted to share. I see, okay, let's go back to the question. Do you think AI would enable adapting to a student's learning process, working on their strengths? Absolutely. I mean, that is us as a teachers. Like I said on the previous slide, you can use artificial intelligence essentially to have a more personalized experience. So things like personalized learning, intelligent tutoring systems, all of this is essentially for custom made for how a student's learning process is. Unfortunately, I mean, something to add here, unfortunately, we don't really have ready tools for this. These are applications, the artificial intelligence, the algorithms are there, but nobody has actually developed a tool and trained it yet on doing this. So yes, this is a possibility, but it has not come into action, or at least I don't know if it is already there or not.
So, the ed tech that is now really taken off, you think that is where the AI designing of the learning process or this student learning centered process is happening more rather than in the higher education institutes?
Definitely. I mean, EdTech is basically using technology in the education process, right? One part of it is automation. So instead of, having to draw everything on a blackboard, you are able to use a smart blackboard or smart board to basically have everything there, and you can zoom in and zoom out and, have a more interactive teaching learning process. But what we are saying about artificial intelligence in this is essentially, I know that some student is very good in a particular topic and another student is not as good at it. How do I make sure that the learning process for both of them is such that they both at the end of the session have a similar understanding of the topic? So it has to be a more personalized learning. Similar to the example I gave, we know that 60% of my students have an understanding of have an understanding of constitution law, and only 20% of my students have an understanding of constitution law. How I deal with a particular litigation or an example would be very different basis that. So yes, we can personalize it and help make sure that all of them learn, and it is not nobody gets left behind. Essentially, that is going to really be the focus of using these kind of tools.
So, when we look at it from the education side or from the academia, AI, yes, is currently being used more in the industry to sort of ease the business processes.
Yep.
But, when we look at it, if we think of it from the viewpoint, the level of trust that you would put in that system,
Yes.
I think that is lacking. That would take some time because, the level of development that is happening is not that great on the education side. Right now, it's also being used only as a tool, as an aid in terms of you did mention Chat GPT. Now, Chat GPT is actually right now a bane for me because most of my students are using it to write their research papers.
Yep.
Which is again, what I said, that it's having a very detrimental effect in terms of
Yes.
the quality of work that I see from them, and rather it's, as you said, now they're becoming generalized. All of them will come with the similar kind of language. So maybe that trust issue that I see from the education or the academic point of view, in terms of how good or how reliable it is going to be in the use. Maybe that is where it's going to take some time for it to come in.
I completely agree with you. And the fact that the world's largest edtech company, Baidu, is going down the drain is not very helpful either. But artificial intelligence is essentially like a smartphone. What we use it for would depend on us. We can use it for the good, we can use it for the bad, you can use it to help you, you can use it to, make sure that you get left behind. But unless you adopt it, you will neither have a good application.
Or not bad. Right.
You have to, whether you like it or not, in my opinion, and this may be a radical opinion, everybody needs to familiarize themselves with artificial intelligence if they want to stay relevant.
So we have a question from Mr. Pramod Tripathi. He's saying, can AI do abstract thinking? Because intelligence means ability to do abstract thinking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it can. So not all of them are, out there doing it. This is not relevant to our topic, but Bard, the chat GPT counterpart of Google, essentially is supposedly doing innovative thinking and be able to do abstract thinking, have discussions on life after death and things like that. So like I said, in the next 1 or 2 years, at least to us, it may not come out, but in the next 5 years or so, artificial intelligence is going to basically think like a human being. So the population of the world is going to increase not just by the human intelligence, but also by artificial intelligence. So you are going to have, I mean, this is, again, I'm not an expert on this, and I cannot give you a scientific explanation of it, but whatever reading, research, exploration I have done, the purpose of artificial intelligence is to be able to think like a human. There is something called as artificial neural, development, which is just like a human brain develops, the human brain cells connect them with themselves and grow intelligence. Artificial intelligence neurons are also going to grow in a similar fashion. So I think, yes, I think it can do abstract thinking very soon. And from what we hear, some of them already do, but we don't really, it's not yet let loose on the public. Then we have another question, I think, from Ms. Sehrawat. Except for law, what are the professions, higher education sectors will be most impacted by AI? Everything. Like I said, legal profession is already impacted. Engineering, higher education, and management, higher education, things like, let's go back to that slide on the applications of things like targeting students for admissions, things like student retention and graduation, adapting curriculum to meet market demands. This, I think, is relevant for everybody. For any sort of higher education sector, it will be, relevant. And I have friends who are in the engineering sector, oil and gas, and they are using artificial intelligence to develop designs and develop more intelligent, blueprints for how do we manage plants. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is just the beginning. There is a lot more coming. But I hope that answers your question, Archana. So that is the end. That is the end of the presentation, actually. So I think this would be a good time to.
Yes, I would ask Atul sir.
Ma'am, may I ask one question?
Yes.
AI is very helpful in legal, and it is upcoming field. It is at the future, and you have mentioned in your slide that it is a IP management. It is very helpful. So, what are your views regarding that some invention has been done by the AI? Then what is the future of that? Who is going to take the credit or discredit for that?
Exactly. So that's what I said. The legal personality of artificial intelligence is not known. Nobody really, there's still a question on who owns or who's the responsible person for the use of artificial intelligence. There was a recent case, not once, twice, 2 cases in the US where artificial intelligence ChatGPT was asked to give court cases for particular precedents for a particular situation. And instead of finding actual court cases, artificial intelligence created cases of its own. So those are the kind of risks that we run by depending on artificial intelligence completely, not verifying, not having human intervention. So you are absolutely right. There are the dangers of having using artificial intelligence without monitoring, without human oversight.
Could I request the host to give the participants the rights so that they could, switch on their cameras or unmute themselves and ask the questions?
I would really appreciate if all of you, or as many as possible, can unmute themselves.
I think they've not yet been given the rights. Maksuchi, if you are there,
Yes, yes,
could you
he's
just give
there,
the
he's
rights to everybody?
yes, yes.
Thank you.
Then,
Done?
yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh,
First and foremost, I request everybody to switch on the cameras. And anyone still wanting to ask a question, please unmute yourself, and you can now directly also ask the question. Each one of you has been given the right. Normally, Ojaswita, you will appreciate that teachers also become students in such times.
But I think I hope that this is a topic that you at least have read in social media. You feel this is something that, it's like a buzzword these days. Everything wants to be artificial intelligence. So it would be good to hear your thoughts, good to see some faces as well now. Thank you for coming online.
Nobody can replace the human intelligence. Whatever artificial intelligence has been created is our own brainchild. And I keep saying that any thought that can come to your mind is achievable. So I think that's what probably artificial intelligence is doing. I was just reading an article. Sometimes somebody has shared that article with us, saying that now they're going to, there are implants in the brain, or there is brain reading system which are coming up. And though it is medically needed for people like epilepsy and other brain related medicine, but it can be very, very dangerous, because it can, those implants can change your thinking process and make you do certain things using this so-called artificial intelligence. Things are growing. Things are growing. We used to see scientific fictional movies where everything is flying here and there, and people are so. But that probably our Ramayana also has brought out all these things. Experimental stage. Humans are going through experimental stage. This is what I feel.
We also have some faculty members from the non-law background with us. And, as a practitioner, of course, because you deal with different aspects of the process. Now, AI, when we look at it, let's say, I think we have some, if I'm not mistaken, from the forensics side. A teacher from the forensics. Then we also have people from the biotechnology. I think in those fields, the AI is moving much faster, or is being used more than, when we look at it from the legal side. But, when we come to the legislative issues of use of AI. So if you have any, insights in terms of, the kind of problems that are coming up with the use of AI in all of these fields. And I think, with the data security, we're dealing with the security as you're looking at that aspect. I think that is also one area which might become a bit problematic litigatingly for us,
So just like in data protection, I think also in artificial intelligence legislation, Europe is leading the way. They already have
Right.
a law on AI regulation. So there is some guidance on, how do we legislate, how do we control, how do we regulate the use of artificial intelligence that is coming from Europe, but of course it's not there in the rest of the world yet. But I like the idea. I mean, I'll be very glad if anybody from some other sector, forensics, etc., who's on the call would like to share on how artificial intelligence is being used there. That would give us some insight as lawyers also, what to expect, what's going to come very soon. So please feel free to unmute and speak. I see 32 people on the call. That's a big number now.
Do we have somebody who's
Very shy.
Anyone? Sanjay, you want to ask something?
Yes, yes. AI can and some
Your audio is not very clear. Maybe all of us, the rest of us will unmute or will mute ourselves and then you can speak.
AI can
No, I think you are in the faculty room where others have also joined. There is echo. The question cannot be heard. Sanjay can move. Monica, Sanjay can come there and ask the question.
Or you can chat. You can put it in the chat.
Or you type your question. I think you type your question. Sanjay, type kar do.
Yes.
Dr. Giri, would you also like to be asking? I see that you are also unmuted.
I see Sanjay's question in the chat. I think it's a very relevant question. It's one of the biggest dangers, in my opinion, that artificial intelligence, if we start using it for criminal justice system. So I'm talking about criminal justice system from a judicial point of view. So we use artificial intelligence to decide whether a person is guilty or not, given that these are the facts, this is the evidence. So we just use, I think it may be even more relevant in civil law jurisdictions, but not so much in common law jurisdictions. But if you talk about curbing offenses, there's a Hollywood movie called Minority Report, where basically they are able to read people's mind and the future crimes that they are about to commit, they get arrested before they actually commit the offense. So if that is what you're thinking, I don't think we're there yet. And it would also be violative of fundamental rights and violative of the Constitution if you start arresting people before they actually do the crime. If somebody has done the crime and then you stop them, then yes, it helps. But things like monitoring activities of people online to check whether they are involved in something criminal. Things like whether they are participating in any kind of Facebook groups that are talking about doing some terrorist activities. Those kind of things definitely are already being used by our intelligence services. I don't think that they don't even need to care about privacy laws. All the privacy laws of all the countries basically provide that if something is against there's a blanket approval for anything that affects the integrity and the security of the country. So they can definitely monitor and use it for curbing offenses. I don't know if they have started using artificial intelligence. They probably have, but I mean, I don't think I'm the right person to guess on how they're going to use it to curb offenses. But in the criminal justice system, the courts, if they start using artificial intelligence to decide cases, instead of a judge deciding, artificial intelligence is deciding, that is definitely going to be a dangerous precedent and should not be able to. Does that answer your question, Sanjay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody
Yeah,
else, any questions?
Dr. Jenny, are you asking some question, or can we?
I
don't-
think some of the participants did not receive the rights, sir. So I think that's
Okay, okay, okay.
But we
Right,
can still
right,
use
Atul, we
if
can
there is anything.
we can move ahead, Atul.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for the insightful thoughts and igniting the minds of those who are present over there, and very thoughtful and very contributory to the in the legal parlance and for the students. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ojaswita. Really wonderful having you here again, and we will continue this association.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for
Thank you, sir.
participating and for having
We
me.
will share some screenshots and the feedback that we have received with you shortly, right?
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ojaswita.
Thank you, for preparing us to be ready for within the next 5 years to be totally, so better pre-warned than as educators. The timeline that you have given us is, 5 years. I think we should think of it as the next 2 years and be ready with our, the requirements and the changes that we need to bring. Thank you so much, Ojaswita, for, being with us. Good afternoon, participants. The Pro Vice Chancellor was to have joined us for the valedictory, but he has had to travel urgently to Chandigarh for a meeting with the Higher Education Board. He's still driving. So because he's driving himself, he just, sent a message that he might get late in joining. In the meanwhile, may I request Major General P.K. Sharma, Director and Professor, Amity Law School and Dean, Faculty of Law, to give his closing remarks for this 5-day faculty development program. Over to you, sir.
Thank
Sir, you are muted. Sir, could you please unmute? You're muted.
I think Dr. Madhukar was joining. Though he's driving, but he was joining. So I think I'll proceed with the remarks, and thereafter we can request Dr. Madhukar to give his valedictory remarks, right? Is that okay?
Monica,
can you hear
you're
me?
also on mute now. But I'm going to take all of your leaves. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating.
Thank you,
and,
Jessica.
good luck.
Grateful to you. Thank you so much.
So much. Bye-bye.
Monica, I saw that Dr. Madhukar was trying to join. He's joined. Unko rights dijiye.
Sir, already done, sir.
Already hai.
Sir, done, sir. Right, sir.
Dr. Madhukar, sir, are you there? Yeah, he's joined. Yeah, Monica, now since Dr. Madhukar has joined, kindly proceed with the program.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. We are very, very honored to have with us our respected Pro Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Haryana, Professor Dr. Vikas Madhukar, Major General P.K. Sharma, Professor and Director, Amity Law School and Dean Faculty of Law. Sir has joined, but yet I would like you to please give your closing remarks so that, right. Handing over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Monica. First and foremost, I must compliment Dr. Monica Yadav and her team comprising of Dr. Atul Jain, Dr. Archana Sharabat, Dr. Ankita Sharma, Ms. Toshi Ratan, and Ms. Asha Meena for deciding upon a very, very apt theme and sub-themes which are very relevant in the present day scenario. Very good choice of the resource persons that you made, very high caliber, and each one an expert in their own field. So with that, let me begin my concluding keynote remarks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Higher education is an important component in the economic, social, and political development of any country. However, this requires that higher education must meet its specific outcomes. For this, it is essential that higher education and industry must be aligned with each other. The question of collaboration and cooperation between higher education and industry has thus become a highly topical issue, transcending expectations. An effective industry-academia collaboration is pivotal for advancement in all fields, as both industry and academia need each other for their successful existence and growth. Across the globe, educational institutions and industry work in a dynamic, interrelated atmosphere. As significant changes happen from time to time, there are new challenges and demands that seek innovation. Such innovation and creativity can be aggressively worked out with the help of industry and academic institution collaboration. The focal objective of this 5 days faculty development program was to afford a forum where industry and academia discuss the changing dynamics of industry and how academia can help in reducing the skill gaps that have emerged. I am delighted to report that many new innovative ideas came up during these 5 days, which would pave the way for bridging the gap and benefit not only universities and students, but also positively affect the industry, thereby leading to the holistic development of the country. The FDP was to be inaugurated by Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma, Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Haryana, but due to ill health, Sir could not attend. However, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, in his message, expressed his appreciation for the theme of the faculty development program and said that it would be beneficial for all participants in designing of their teaching methodologies. The FDP had 5 sub-themes that were dealt with by experts from the industry. The first session was held on 24th July on the theme Recasting Legal Education as a Collaborative Medium for Addressing Industry Needs, which was addressed by Professor Amar Sundaram, General Counsel, Senior Vice President Legal and Chief Compliance Officer for NEC Corporation of India. He elaborated upon how India is moving fast in the times of digital expansions, highlighting how various key reforms are shaping up India for better adaptability in the global forum, and explained the link between technological and infrastructural development that India is witnessing. Professor Sundaram explained that to manage this expansion, there is a crucial requirement that academia must understand the needs of the industry so as to align their teaching learning process to produce industry-ready professionals. He was of the view that colleges need to add more value to practical training along with the traditional conceptual teaching approaches, and there should be more collaborative methods that should be introduced in higher education. The second session of the FDP dealt with the area of human resources, and the theme for the day was practical approaches to teaching learning in human resource management. Mr. Aditya Sinha, Head HR Corporate, HR and ESG, Napino Auto and Electronics Private Limited, was the resource person for this session. Mr. Sinha focused on the fact that practical teaching is very important for improving the quality of professional training of human resource management. He further pointed out that human resource management has undergone tremendous development throughout the 20th century, which has expanded the outlook of management with the dynamics of industry needs. Mr. Sinha emphasized that the need has emerged for a more practical approach towards teaching and learning human resource management and changing the approach from pedagogy to andragogy, which will define the short and long-term goals to build a holistic, aligned organization which would further stretch to industrial and economic development. Mr. Ayush Sharma, Managing Partner, MS Law Partners, was the speaker for third session on developing research-oriented curricula to enhance availability and applicability of intellectual property rights. He explained that developing a research-oriented curricula requires a thoughtful and comprehensive approach and involves designing educational programs that not only equip students with a solid understanding of IPR concepts, but also encourages them to engage in research and practical applications of these rights. He elaborated on the probable approach that may be adopted towards achieving this goal, like identifying and understanding the target audience, defining clear and specific learning outcomes, and designing the curriculum to cover both theoretical and practical aspects. Mr. Sharma also pointed out that it is very important to foster an interdisciplinary approach to IPR by encouraging collaboration among students from different fields. The fourth session on the growing culture of startups and contributions of higher education institutes was addressed by Mr. Narayanan Ramaswamy, National Leader, Education and Skill Development, KPMG in India. Mr. Ramaswamy explained how higher education institutes are evolving and changing their courses and pedagogies to encourage students in combining innovative ideas with technology and start their own enterprises with innovative ideas. He emphasized that it is time that we move towards heutagogy, where the learning is self-determined. He also discussed India's National Education Policy NEP 2020 that has a range of goals to expand digital teaching and learning, which, along with the rise of EdTech, companies like students, edupreneurs, aims to make technology a part of school, universities, and other institutions. He elaborated that multidisciplinary approach towards higher education is playing a crucial role in creating more startups and more employable workforce for future. Mr. Ramaswamy mentioned that with the advent of technology and startups culture, the rural and urban divide can also be bridged, thereby creating a platform for a lifetime learning for all. We just concluded with the last session of the FDP. Ms. Ojaswita Srivastava, General Counsel, Secretariat, Africa, Middle East, and APAC, addressed this session on emergence of artificial intelligence in all spheres, a time to revisit higher education. In a very interactive session, she explained what is artificial intelligence and its application in legal sector. Particularly, she apprised that in US, e-discovery has become mandatory. She questioned, will ChatGPT take away our jobs? She gave examples of very useful applications like Kira, Kara, Coin, Supes, which incidentally even the Supreme Court of India is using. She said artificial intelligence has increased efficiency, but there is a risk of overdependence. Further, there are certain legal and ethical challenges still to be overcome. Most importantly, privacy and protection of personal data remains a risk. She discussed how we need to co-opt artificial intelligence in higher education. Artificial intelligence has the potential to personalize education and create more efficient learning environments. While artificial intelligence will not replace teachers, but classroom revolution is coming. She said we need to be future ready, have right attitude, upskilling, and adopt the use of artificial intelligence. As teachers, we must design thinking, critical and creative courses for our students. We must explain the process of drafting, which should be, and our students must understand differences between human and computers. The teachers must discuss the positive and negative impact which artificial intelligence is having on the society. So I firmly believe that all 5 days were very interesting, very educative, and the participants benefited from them. I will end my remarks by saying the quote by Steve Jobs, "Learn continually, there's always one more thing to learn." Thank you very much. Monica, unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, sir, for so nicely briefing up and giving us a run through the 5 days of the session. We are extremely delighted to have amongst us our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Dean Faculty of Management Studies and Director Amity Business School, Professor Dr. Vikas Madhukar, to this valedictory ceremony of the Faculty Development Program on changing dimensions of the industry and revisiting andragogical approaches in higher education, present needs and the way forward. Dr. Madhukar specializes in finance and strategy and holds his doctorate in international finance from Kurukshetra University. He also heads the Amity Innovation Incubation, which is supported by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology under the Mighty Tide 2.0, and leads entrepreneurship and startup initiatives at the university. He has mentored several students in translating their ideas into business models and provided startup support to the Incubation Center. Dr. Madhukar has a rich and varied experience of more than 22 years in teaching, training, research, consultancy, and administration, and has guided numerous PhD scholars. He has contributed more than 65 research papers in different national and international journals, conferences, authored articles for leading newspapers, and published books on strategy and other management areas. Dr. Madhukar has been a resource person and trainer to various public and private sector organizations like Ericsson, Keen India, Food Corporation of India, and QL Software, to name a few. Dr. Madhukar is also the editor-in-chief of Amity Management Analyst, the prestigious biannual refereed journal of Amity Business School, and heads the Center for Financial Analytics. He has implemented several reforms in the area of students' enrollment and contributed immensely in implementing various academic and administrative initiatives in strategic areas of the university. A guide and a mentor, Dr. Madhukar leads with a collaborative approach and possesses excellent multitasking skills. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing this time. And I know you're very busy, you're traveling. May I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Madhukar to please deliver his address. Sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica. Major General P.K. Sharma, Director and Dean, Amity Law School, my dear faculty members, research scholars, and all participants. A very good afternoon to all, and on behalf of our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Asim Chauhan, on behalf of entire Amity family, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. I have Dr. Major P.K. Sharma has very beautifully, briefed us about what had happened in last 5 days in this FDP, and when I was listening, the 5 important theme, sub-theme, which has been covered in this FDP, I think the most important aspect has been covered by each of the resource person. My compliment to Major General P.K. Sharma and his entire team for organizing this FDP on such an important topic of where we have talked about the industry academia interface and how the industry can contribute to academia and what kind of redesigning, restructuring is required in terms of curricula and teaching, learning, pedagogy or andragogy in education. So while Major General P.K. Sharma has clearly pinpointed on the critical issue, which actually the higher education institutions are really required to look into. And I'm sure that the various resource persons, those they have spoken on the various theme, have already covered the critical point. But still, I think there are few thoughts which I would like to share on this particular topic. See, when I look at the Indian higher education system, I believe the Indian higher education ecosystem is a huge one. When I say it is a huge one, it is huge in terms of number of institution and the student enrollment. If I talk about number of institution, currently we have roughly around 1100 universities, which include your central universities, state universities, and private university and deemed university. We have roughly about 45,000 affiliated colleges, and we have roughly around 11,000 standalone institution, and overall over 4.5 crore students are enrolled in higher education. So just look at the number, 4.5 crore students are enrolled, and these higher education institutions are imparting education to this much number of students. But every time we are talking about the challenges of higher education, we are talking about one key challenge, which is imbibing employability among our young graduate. Now, this is not a new topic what we have discussed today, but this is something which we have been debating for more than a decade, that what should be done in order to imbibe employability among our young graduate. So when I look at the objective of higher education, I don't look at it only on the perspective of imparting employability. In my view, when we are looking at young graduate, it is very important for us, first of all, to understand the aspirations of our student. Because the students, those they are coming to the higher education institution, they are not coming only to be employable in industry, but many of them are coming with different kind of aspirations. There are students, those they want to complete their degree, want to acquire required kind of skill set, and want to place themselves in their dream company. There are second category of students, those they are coming, but they want to acquire the kind of knowledge which can help them in set up their own businesses, their own startup. We have students coming to higher education institution, those they are at a level of education they want to achieve, and later on they want to pursue higher education to pursue their other dreams. We have a student, those they have a particular vision and mission where they would like to contribute something positive or meaningful in society and can be part of the development of the nation. So when I look at the student aspiration and I look at the role a higher education institution should play, so in my view, while we are talking about imbibing employability, it is not the only job of a higher education. Rather, an higher education institution should look at the aspiration of a student from a very holistic perspective. In my view, while a student is coming, the foremost first important thing what an higher education institution must do is to make an assessment to evaluate and find out the overall aspiration of a student. And while we have student aspiration, then probably we can find out, design out a roadmap and think about the kind of curriculum, the kind of pedagogy, the kind of teaching methodology, the kind of teaching learning tool need to be employed so that the aspirations of student can be mapped with the curriculum and andragogy. I think before an NEP, the higher education institution, they were not having that kind of freedom to look at the various aspects of holistic development. Because if I talk about NEP, NEP is also not talking about imbibing employability only. NEP is talking about larger perspective, where NEP says that our students should not only be employable, but we should also inculcate them a spirit of entrepreneurship. We should also be focused on human values. We should also be focus on teaching our students so that they can be a global citizen and they can contribute to the development of country. We are looking forward for graduate, those they possess 21st century skills, the skill which are important to make nation and contribute to the nation. So in that aspect, the NEP has stated a number of good things, and a broader framework has been prescribed by the National Education Policy, which has talked about the kind of curriculum which is required. Because when we are talking about imbibing employability and also having an holistic development of student, there are 2-3 things which are important. The first important thing is a curriculum, how the curriculum is to be designed. The second thing is the teaching learning, where the FDP has also talked about the andragogical approaches. The third thing is capacity building among faculty member. Right. So we need to align these 3 things. Of course, there are external stakeholder also where we're talking about industry and all. But while we are talking about the curriculum, we are expecting that the curriculum should be designed in a way that it should map with the expectations of industry. And this is what NEP has talked about. NEP says that it is very important from the higher education institution perspective that they should not only provide the knowledge to a student related to his core discipline, but also the institution should incorporate the aspect of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary education. And perhaps this is the reason that while the curriculum of Amity, what we have designed way back in 2013, was focused on imparting the domain knowledge of student, not only to the particular field in which student is pursuing the education, but also we have given an opportunity to student that the student can go beyond his own discipline and can acquire the knowledge of other discipline, so that we can integrate the one discipline with other discipline. And this is what the NEP is now talking about, that each and every university now should focus on interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. Not only this, the National Higher Education Qualification Framework by University Grant Commission is also talking about that what kind of outcome are we looking forward from student at a different level of education. While the student is in first year of graduation, second year, third year, and fourth year, and subsequently when student is completing his or her degree, what kind of expected outcome we should have from student. And there it has clearly stated the outcome divided into 2 parts. The one is the outcome which are related to domain knowledge, where I just spoke about the disciplinary knowledge, multidisciplinary knowledge, and interdisciplinary knowledge. And the second outcome which National Higher Education Qualification has talked about are the generic skills. So where we talk about the generic skills, what are those skills? These skills are learning skills, these skills are literary skills, these skills are life skills, where we talk about communication, we talk about collaboration, we talk about creativity, we talk about critical thinking, we talk about knowledge of technology, knowledge of media. We talk about that how we can make our student a global citizen, how we can inculcate the spirit of leadership, spirit of entrepreneurship, the flexibility among the student, initiative among the student, and overall how to make student a global citizen. So all this aspect the higher education qualification has talked about. But whatever we do, until and unless we will not imbibe this in our andragogy, right? We have made a very good curriculum, right? We have stated wonderful learning outcome, but what is required until and unless we will not design the kind of andragogy which should be matched with the desired outcome, we will not be able to achieve the desired outcome. And I think that this was the core aim of this FDP, to acquaint and to train faculty members that the importance of andragogy and how, with the help of a better andragogy, the better andragogy can be helpful in the achievement of the desired learning outcome. So I'm sure that in last 5 days, our eminent resource persons have enlightened all participants about the various ways, tools, techniques, that how one can incorporate and redesign the various teaching methodology and pedagogy, what kind of things can be incorporated in the curriculum, in the teaching learning method, so that the desired learning outcome can be achieved. And my one advice to all of you, when you look at any of the subjects, sometimes the faculty says, sir, this is a theoretical subject, and there is no practical possible, and there is no practicum. We cannot do field work in this, we cannot do a project in this. But I always advise to my faculty, see, there is no subject which is completely theory, right? It is up to a faculty to what extent that the creativity of faculty, that the faculty is able to imbibe the aspect of experiential learning, aspect of practical learning, the aspect of group-based project, because ultimately the whatever skill set all resource person talked about during the 5 days, those skill set cannot be taught in the classroom. So until and unless you will not make focus of your overall lecture plan less on classroom teaching and more on experiential learning, more on self-study, more on group learning, I think we would not be able to develop what we talked about in terms of developing creativity, critical thinking, and other important skill which we have discussed in last 5 days. So I'm sure that the FDP has really added the valuable input, given valuable input to all participants, and I'm sure that this is going to have a great help in preparing their session plan and redesigning their FDP. With this few words, I once again appreciate Amity Law School and congratulate to the organizing team for organizing FDP on such an important topic. Thank you and best wishes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sparing your valuable time to be with us and sharing your thoughts on this particular aspect.
Madam, this was an order by Major General. So, I cannot say no to the order of Major General. I was driving. I started from Gurgaon at 9:30, and 15 minutes before, when Major General P.K. Sharma had called me, I said that I'm 10 minutes away from my home. And the moment I reached, I immediately opened laptop and logged in it.
Sir, it's
So,
very kind of you.
No order, sir.
Very kind of you. Thank you so much.
It is your love and affection. It is your love and affection for the law school. And we know it. You never say no to us. Thank you so much. We are really
Thank you
grateful.
so much.
Thank you, Major P.K. Sharma. Thank you.
It is my privilege to be proposing the vote of thanks on this occasion. At Amity Law School, we strive to provide the best ways to learn through experience. And I, on behalf of Amity Law School, extend a hearty thanks to all the distinguished speakers for taking out time from their busy schedules and sharing their constructive thoughts and opinions during the FTP, which was on the topic changing dimensions of the industry and revisiting andragogical approaches in higher education, present needs and the way forward. I also thank all our valued participants who have attended this FDP wholeheartedly. The sub-themes which were discussed in this FDP are very relevant towards better aligning the needs of the industry and the outcome of higher education, and must be addressed to deepen our knowledge and understanding for better implementation. We are very grateful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. P.V. Sharma, Amity University, Haryana, for always motivating each one of us to organize such events. We convey our sincere thanks to respected Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Vikas Madhukar, for his endless encouragement and support and being with us here today despite his heavy commitments. We are also very thankful to all the distinguished resource persons, Professor Amar Sundaram, Mr. Aditya Sinha, Mr. AUH Sharma, Mr. Narayanan Swamy, and Ms. Ujaswita Srivastava for taking out their time for the insightful sessions. I would also like to thank the IT team for the support in making this event seamless. An event like this requires detailed planning and dedication for the conduct of smooth implementation. We have been fortunate enough to have been backed by our director and Dean Faculty of Law, Major P.K. Sharma, and a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues who know their job and are result-oriented. I take this opportunity to thank Director Sir for his unconditional support, Dr. Archana Sehrawat, Ms. Asha Meena, Ms. Koshi Ratan, Dr. Ankita Sharma, and Dr. Atul Jain for their efforts in making this event a success. I'm sure the deliberations throughout these 5 days have helped each one of you to better understand in better understanding the needs of the industry and redesigning your teaching and learning methodologies to align with the outcomes that Vice Chancellor Sir has just spoken about. Thank you all the participants for having made this FDP a success. Thank you so much. We will be posting the quiz and the feedback forms in the chat box and also in the WhatsApp group. Please be kind enough to fill them by 5, if not 4 today, since the session has gone on late. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.